What's up, guys? Today we're going to be discussing a massive leak we recently found in the Datamined, and this is literally a game-changing leak. It will almost certainly introduce an entirely new mechanic to the game, so I'm very excited to share it with you guys. But first, I want to make sure that everyone actually did claim the gift code that they've been giving out for Golden Week. Essentially, because Pokemon Pocket has been out for 6 months, I assume most of you already know this, but if you weren't aware, I've put it up on the screen here. There is a gift code you can enter on gift.pokemontcgpocket.com, and if you enter that code along with your support ID, you will get essentially 2 free booster packs and 500 trade tokens, so if you have not already redeemed that, make sure you do. Real quick, yes, God Pack Wonder Picking is still a thing. We set up a new community server dedicated to hunting God Packs, so if you want to join, the link is in the video description below, or you can go to discord.gg/hypepacks. But alright, so on to the leak, and this is where it gets pretty juicy. So when looking at the attributes of the various Pokemon cards, as you can see here, there are a bunch of different characteristics for each card. So which evolution stage is it? What does it cost to retreat? What is the weakness type? Of course, they have to flag whether or not it's an EX, so they know whether or not to take away 2 points when it gets KO'd. But they added a new flag, as you can see here, is Ultra Beast. And this makes a lot of sense because we just got a bunch of Gen 7 Sun and Moon Pokemon, and Ultra Beasts are tied in pretty closely with Solgaleo and Lunala and all of that, so it makes sense that the next expansion will be introducing Ultra Beasts. But so I guess the real question is, what does this mean for the game? So for those of you not already familiar with Ultra Beasts, I guess we can start by showing the Pokemon that are Ultra Beasts. So let me pull that up for you guys. So this is a pretty solid confirmation that pretty soon we're going to be getting Nihilego, Buzzwole, Pheromosa, Xurkitree, Celesteela, Kartana, Guzzlord, Poipole, Naganadel, Stakataka, and Blacephalon, and I imagine we'll also get a bunch of items and supporter cards specifically tailored to Ultra Beast Pokemon, like a Beast Ball card, for example, just like in the actual TCG. But alright, so what is this going to mean for Pokemon TCG Pocket? Well, there's a few different ways that they can go about this. The first is, the devs have been mentioning that they've been working on new game modes, so it's entirely possible that they've created a new game mode for these Ultra Beast cards to be used, and that's because in the actual TCG, Ultra Beasts rely on prize cards, which is not something that's currently in Pokemon Pocket. And so, essentially, prize cards are, you would take a certain amount of cards from the top of your deck and put them over in a prize card section, and then when you KO opponent's Pokemon, you would reclaim some of those prize cards, and if you reclaim all of your prize cards, you win, even if you manage to do that without KOing all of your opponent's Pokemon. So, if they were to do that, I think the deck sizes are a bit small, even if they kept it at the 3-point system, so if they went with like 3 prize cards, I think it's pretty unlikely, you know, if just the wrong 3 cards got taken out of your deck and put as prize cards, that could really jam you up. So if they're going to stick with a mechanic like that, it would make a lot of sense for them to have a new game mode, since they already would have to make a prize card section and therefore that whole new mechanic, and then they could allow for larger deck sizes and perhaps slightly longer battles, which is something that I think a good amount of players have been asking for, just because the current deck sizes are pretty limiting. So that's one way that they could go about it. Another way that they could go about it, though, is they could do what they've already done for a bunch of existing Pokemon mechanics, and they could simplify it for Pokemon Pocket. So, for example, they could do something like a reverse EX, where when an EX gets knocked out, you get 2 points for knocking it out. They could have Ultra Beasts have an ability where when they get a KO, they award 2 points, even if they KO'd a non-EX. So, could be something like that. They could put a limitation on Ultra Beasts where, like, if you don't already have at least 1 point, then you can't use the Ultra Attack ability on an Ultra Beast card. So it could be something like that. If they are going to make them essentially GX cards, because if I'm not mistaken, I think most, if not all, of the Ultra Beast cards in the actual TCG are GX cards. they essentially come with what's called a GX attack, which is a really, really powerful attack that you can only use one time during a match. So it's entirely possible that they go with something like that, where they get a special, really, really powerful attack, but you get one use of it, so you have to use it at just the right time. And that could be the unique mechanic for the Ultra Beasts. So there's a lot of different ways that they could go about it, but I'm curious what you guys think. Do you guys think that they will be simplifying the Ultra Beast mechanic and factoring it into the existing gameplay? Or do you think that they'll make a separate type of PvE and PvP with slightly different rules, maybe bigger decks, to account for using Ultra Beasts and have them be the way to get into that new game mode, essentially? So I could see them going either way with this, but just the fact that we found in the data mine that they are flagging all Pokemon as whether or not they are Ultra Beast, which of course none of the current Pokemon are, but the reason that they've gone out of their way to make that flag is because obviously upcoming cards are going to need to be able to determine whether, for example, a supporter is providing an additional effect for an Ultra Beast, or, you know, whether an Ultra Beast was the one that scored the KO, anything like that. They need to make that distinction, which is why they've already put it in. So I'm going to go ahead and say Ultra Beast confirmed, and I'm going to say more than likely, probably the next mini set is going to be featuring the Ultra Beast. That would be my guess. So that is of course not confirmed, but that's what I'm thinking. So all right, so I've gathered some people on Discord here just so we can get some early feedback and see what you guys think about this. So without further ado, this is what we found, and if you look a little more closely, you might notice this.
Oh, is that what I see?
What the?
Hey, is that the Ultra Beast, baby?
No, Ultra Beast.
Oh no, that's actually gonna be so fire.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it's W.
they have their own
This is
flag.
probably the May 30 release or something, right?
That is my guess, is that it will be the next set. But it has its own flag, just like being an EX, which means it's going to have its own mechanics. Like, it will definitely have essentially like trainer cards or items or stuff that only benefit them, but they're almost certainly going to have their own mechanic because they're their own class of card.
Because the common denominator between all the Ultra Beasts is that they have the Beast Boost ability in the games.
And
Like, how that works, in case you don't know about it, is if you knock out an enemy Pokemon, the Ultra Beast gets a stat boost in its highest stat.
Ah, okay.
So I'm expecting all of the Ultra Beasts to have a similar thing, kind of like the Arceus set.
That makes
They're probably all
sense.
gonna have some
Yeah, they all had the
similar
link.
ability.
Yeah, that makes sense. So a stat boost is something they could do. And then I guess the last thing to ask is, of all the Ultra Beasts, which one are you guys the most hyped for?
Of all the Ultra Beasts, I definitely gotta say Pheromosa.
I'd have to say Guzzlord.
I was gonna say that too.
Yeah.
That's the most
We used to
intriguing one, yeah.
use it a lot in the games. It's pretty
For me,
sick.
Pheromosa and Kartana for me.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hope Kartana just absolutely eviscerates people.
Poipole,
for sure.
Naganadel. The Poipole, Naganadel line is sick.
I guess we'll see. Let me know what you guys make of this in the comments below, but yeah, I definitely wanted to share that with you guys. I think it's pretty hype news. So, otherwise, thank you guys very much for checking out this video. I'm going to put the giveaway winners in the pinned comment below, and there's going to be 5 more winners for access to hype packs. So just leave a comment, drop a like, and yeah, otherwise, thank you guys very, very much for checking out this video. I will see you guys real soon. Until next time. Peace!